So today we're actually going through Cloud9's matchup against Gambit on Overpass, and this is very much a case of witnessing the good, the bad, and the ugly within this C9 lineup as it currently stands in this current day, right? So obviously there isn't as much practice days as they would have liked, and this is around where we see Alex get taken down early on by Shiro at A long, and with Alex dead and Mezzy having no utility left, we're going to witness the C9 role dilemma in its current stance. So you can see Mezzy uses his flashbang initially, and then we have two flashbangs available on Floppy and Zeppa. However, we witness all four players essentially playing more or less entry fragging because there's not as much time left on the clock at the top. This means they all try and run into the bomb site. They do very well to get as far as they do, but unfortunately it's not quite enough, as Shiro is kind of incredible. So round 5 is actually a case where Essetag's got the AWP out, and he actually gets an opening kill. So you can see at the top, this is actually a very, very early kill to get, especially when he actually just goes for a heads-up fight with Shiro. He wins the duel. You now have a minute 30 on the clock with a one-man advantage. With around 45 seconds left, we see the actual players on Cloud9 gathered towards B shore, ready to throw and execute. However, there is actually information on the map acquired by Alex, which means they start to throw a fake and instead rotate app connector. Unfortunately, they're very, very loud, and you can see Nafany there towards Graffiti. As soon as he hears those players at Highway, he legs it. With the execute coming in towards A, and actually only Axile there left, he kills the lurker towards Long. He then gets another kill, which is actually kind of crazy. He gets 2 kills here and delays a lot of time. And due to his presence alone, the bomb plant was actually done towards Optimus, or towards the truck, which means that Zeppa, who has just traded Axile, is not in a position really to fight this. Hobbit, as he comes in for the retake, catches Mezzy in the back. We then see Inters actually get a kill towards Essetag as well, who's at the headshot box due to that plant. If it was a default plant, it might be a different circumstance. And then Zeppa's left in this 1v2, which is basically impossible. It's a safe plant, he cannot see the diffuser, and Hobbit just waits for him to push out. So round 7 is actually the first round that Cloud9 get on the board. So this is more of a slow default into bathroom control, and then they actually plan to do a pop in there. So in this instance, we have Floppy being the only player with a flashbang left. And of course, with a lot more time available to them to actually discuss like who's got a flashbang left, everything like that, they know Floppy needs to flash them out. So he actually gets the flashbang ready, and he'll throw one over, as well as Essetag throwing a really nice Molotov here. So this will go from over the roof, and we see Zeppa's POV in the bottom left as the actual entry fragger. The flash comes through, he absolutely destroys Axile, and that kill alone is actually enough to win the round. Gambit, because of the actual damage Cloud9 had been doing, need to save, and that they do. So this is the round straight after. So we've witnessed Cloud9 now have, one round won with 35 seconds or less, and then multiple rounds lost. So Floppy throws a Molotov towards B, he then throws a smoke towards B short, and then flashes it, feigning the aggression towards B short. However, we're going to see this from the CT perspective, where as soon as the Molotov goes, they actually just take short anyway. I believe it's Hobbit, he just kind of just rolls up and just takes it. Like, no support really, no flashbangs used. He just walks out, and then just cleans it himself. Which means that now there is clear indication that they have not taken B short. This was actually a fake set of grenades used. Meaning we now witness what's happening here. So it's actually more of a slow default towards A again. And Hobbit, of course, with no connected door there, he decides to go on a little adventure. You could say a bit of a little journey. He comes up the connector stairs, and in a very timely fashion, he catches 2 players with their grenades out. And actually gets 2 free kills and completely disrupts the attack. Axile peeks out of the default boxes, Nafany covers his back, and this is a complete disaster of a take. So at the half, you can quite clearly see how many players were actually surviving. So when Cloud9 win the rounds, they had 5 alive twice, 4 alive once, 3 alive once as well. So that's 4 rounds won, but look at how much damage they had been doing. They pretty consistently kept Gambit to 3 players or less, barring, 2 or 3 rounds, and you could probably argue those were the eco rounds. So we're actually going to start now with the CT side of things, which is basically all good, really. Cloud9, they performed incredibly on the CT side. It was a really good CT side. So they've already lost the pistol. It was a really strugglesome effort for them when it came to pistol rounds, just full stop. So this is now round 17, which is essentially the beginning of the comeback. From this point, they would actually go on I believe, a 12-0 run. So Axel gets a free entry kill, but he does catch 2 grenades. And because of that damage, they know, okay, he must be weak. We need to get the kill. And that they do. Zeppa gets the kill. Alex will then go on to retrieve this AK, and he will trade the kill that Hobbit just got. So this is now a 4v3, and they actually have an AK on their side. Unfortunately for them though, a great grenade catches Alex, but thankfully Mezzy is there to immediately counter that. He gets 1 kill followed by a second, and then him and Essetag play this 2v1 very nicely, where they're able to actually back each other up, but also trade effectively. The next round actually going to show is round 20, which is essentially the first buy round. In this instance, Cloud9 have double AWP setup, with one AWP on Essetag and another on Floppy. So the setup Cloud9 are going to do is where they have 2 players in connector, which we're seeing here. Essetag is going to get boosted on the shelf, and we're seeing his POV in the bottom left. So this is an angle where you catch the party peak. Mezzy will cover the bottom steps, and then we're going to see what actually happens on the B side of the map. So a player from Heaven actually grenades the door off. In this instance, it is Floppy. And then we see Alex doing some jump spotting towards the pipe, and we're going to see Zeppa actually walk out of B shortly, and he'll actually just cover this area as well. So he'll actually crouch right below the actual railing, which means he cannot be seen from connector unless they push all the way out. However, with Mezzy covering it, they cannot do that. Hobbit is going to be the victim of this in this round. He gets contact towards short, and unfortunately Mezzy's right there to kill him. Because of this though, Hobbit calls there must be at least 2 towards B short, and they begin their attack. Floppy does well to get 1, Zeppa rotates a bit hastily, and actually means that we're in a 3v3, which is a bit more dangerous. It's actually a really good set of utility used here, so Molotov puts onto sight, which means they cannot exit. Mezzy, with the flash from Essetag, gets a kill. Alex wins his fight with Shiro, and then it's a very easy picking 1v3 for them to take care of. So the next round we're going to show is actually round 25, where Cloud9 seem to do this thing where they start with 4B early on an Overpass, at the very least, basically based on the spawn of the actual player who would go towards A. So in this instance, you can see Essetag is in Heaven, he has the AWP. And, this wouldn't actually be, an actual issue here if Cloud9 didn't have so many players towards the side. So, Gambit decides to go for a double nade towards Monster, but unfortunately Alex is right there ready. He's like, okay, I've heard the grenades pulled, I'm just going to spam. And due to this knowledge, Hobbit moves forward knowing we need to get some sort of advantage back. And unfortunately, Essetag misses the trade, which could have been huge. That would have been a one-man advantage. With the info that the AWP is on site, they flash Hobbit in. He gets the kill on Alex, funnily enough, not even Essetag. And this round is absolutely chaos. This is probably the ugly part of the CT side. They go 1 by 1 through that smoke, and thankfully Floppy gets 2, meaning it's now a 1v1, and Essetag can sneak through the smoke as well. 3 CTs died behind that truck. Essetag would have been the 4th if he didn't win that 1v1. So due to that being a 1v1, Gambit are probably thinking that the money on C9 side is on the ropes. However, as I mentioned, C9 play that 4B setup quite often at the start of the round. And this is just very much the same. Right, this is literally the exact same thing, where they play that same 4-man setup, and unfortunately for Gambit, they go right into it. Alex is going to flash short for Zeppa to clear it. You've got Floppy at barrels, and Mezzy's Heaven. Flashes come out Monster, and you just see this 2-prong attack. The players get taken down from all kinds of different angles. They barely get out of the pipe. Never mind actually getting towards the pillar. Like, this is a complete onslaught.